Excellences, très honorable.
Excellencies, honorable ladies and gentlemen, members of the Pan-African Parliament, Madame Aishata, Second Vice President of the Pan-African Parliament, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished experts, distinguished guests, good afternoon. I would like, first of all, to apologize to you for this delay. And as the saying goes, all is well that ends well. We've come to the end of this conference of women parliamentarians, and my task is to oversee the closing ceremony of this meeting. This is why I would like to present to you the program. First of all, there will be a presentation of the recommendations of the conference, which will be made by the Deputy Chairperson of the PAP Women's Caucus. And these recommendations will be presented to the plenary. And then Honorable Roger Nkodo will take the floor in order to make his closing statement of the conference. Having said that, distinguished guests, I would like to invite Madame the Deputy Chairperson of the PAP Women's Caucus to make a presentation of the recommendations of the second Women's Conference. Madame, you have the floor.
The President of the Pan-African Parliament, the Women's Caucus, held their very successful Women's Caucus conference since yesterday up to today. We had very fruitful deliberations. We had very wonderful presentations from our panelists, well selected, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the Secretariat for a wonderful work done, for bringing before us a well-selected group of panelists. We have gained quite a lot, and now I'm ready to present the recommendations of the conference. On the AU, the first one was on the AU theme for 2019, the Year of Refugees and Internally Displaced Persons. The recommendation is urge member states to put the concerns of refugees, internally displaced persons, and stateless persons on the agendas of the African Union, Peace and Security Council, regional economic communities, and relevant organs. The second recommendation is call upon AU member states to strengthen comprehensive mediation, peace building, and conflict resolution mechanisms, including the full participation of women in all peace-building activities and processes to pursue national reconciliation through the African peace and security architecture to strengthen Africa's peacekeeping and enforcement capabilities and collaboration with the United Nations system. Recommendation number 3, encourage AU member states to employ an inclusive approach and foster the participation of women, refugees, and internally displaced persons in all decision-making processes affecting them. On number 2, topic number 2 on the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, recommendation number 1, urge member states to ratify the AfCFTA. Recommendation number 2, call upon member states to put in place deliberate programs to empower women to actively participate in the free trade and to opt for gender-responsive policies to improve inclusiveness. Recommendation number 3, call on member states to ensure access to trade information, services, finance, ICT, and market opportunities. Recommendation number 4, call on parliamentarians to monitor the negotiations, the implementation, and impact on the AFCTA with a particular focus on the participation of women. Recommendation number 5, call on member states to build the capacity of women so that they can add value to commodities with a view to increase production and supply of services. On topic number 3, which is on the African Women's Decade 2010 to 2020. Recommendation number 1, urge AU member states to sign, ratify, domesticate, and or implement the Maputo Protocol and other AU legal instruments relating to the rights of women. Recommendation number 2, congratulate member states that have passed and implemented the gender parity laws that include specific quota for women, as well as encourage member states who are yet to pass such laws to do so as a matter of urgency. Recommendation number 3, encourage member states to submit their periodic report to the African Union Commission for Beijing to be submitted to the Convention on the Status of Women in New York in 2020. Number 4, encourage member states to develop programs involving women and civil society organizations to access the fund for the African Women Decade. Number 5, creation of awareness among women legislators on the existing gaps between policy framework on women's rights and actual realities of African women's rights. Number 6, for women parliamentarians to lobby for countries that have not yet ratified the protocol to do so by 2020, and for countries that have ratified the protocol to send their report on progress made in implementation. Number 7, involve women parliamentarians to prepare and run effective advocacy campaigns for policy change in favor of women's economic empowerment in Africa. Number 8, call on member states and civil society organizations to strengthen partnerships between men and women in the inclusion of women into national programs. Number 9, recommend that the media leads the campaign in changing the narrative of the rights of African women through the sensitization, promotion of laws, policies, and best practices. Number 10, recommend the media to remain vigilant in the investigation and reporting of gender-based violence. Number 11, women parliamentarians should advocate for gender mainstreaming in all governance and development initiatives. Number 12, call upon the Pan-African Parliament to enact a model law towards the elimination of child, early marriages, gender-based violence, as well as the development of an inheritance model law. On topic number 4, on women and ICT. Recommendation number 1, call upon parliamentarians to advocate in their member states for internet access as a basic right. Recommendation number 2, the integration of ICT into school curriculum and the elimination of barriers to enable young girls pursue programs in the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Then the last topic was on mobilization of resources. This is also a recommendation to call upon the PAP Goodwill Ambassador on economic development and women to mobilize the private sector to support the domestication and implementation of the Maputo Protocol, to support the development of a strategic communication and the PAP Women Caucus programs, adopted on 15th October 2019. Thank you very much.
Merci, honorable.
Thank you, Honorable. would like a president of the Pan-African Parliament. You have followed with a great interest these important recommendations that have come out of this conference. And now you have the honor to express your feelings following these recommendations, and finally give your political blessing and make the closing statement of this conference. Please.
Merci, Monsieur le Secrétaire.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, and moderator of this conference, Madam Third Vice President of the Pan-African Parliament, Madam the Second Vice President of the Pan-African Parliament in charge of diplomatic relations, ladies and gentlemen, honorable MPs, dear guests, after having listened with great emotion to the recommendations made at the end of your conference, I think it would be remiss of me to make a speech, because I think that you have said it all. And I would first of all like to ask you to please excuse me for being delayed. I had business to conclude within my mandate